With only 3 game weeks left of the season, it is crucial to make sure that the transfers we make are the correct ones. And in today's video, we will be looking at the best players that you can buy going into game week 36 alongside my own transfer plan. So as always, if you're looking forward to it, make sure to drop a like on the video and of course, hit that subscribe button. Enough waffling, let's get into today's video. So first up, a quick review on how game week 35 is going so far, because of course we still have the Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace game to go. From a personal perspective, I am relying on my treble up to do the business, as I'm currently on a red arrow from 39k to 49k. But as you can see, Munoz, Sarr and Mateta is a play. I just need something from one of those three to probably get myself to a bit of a grey arrow. I don't think there's any chance I can get a green arrow this week. And we spoke about it going into the game week 35 deadline, how I felt like it was going to be a low scoring week and captaincy was absolutely essential to hit. And what do? I end up failing on captaincy. So going into this week, I spoke about how Salah, Mbeumo, Marmoush, Isak were all the standout captains in my team. I ruled out Mo Salah because I felt like that was a tricky game away against Chelsea. Got that one correct. But I thought the Man City game would have a bit more action than what it actually did have. So the 2-pointer for Marmoush was not ideal. Of course, Mbeumo picked up the assist, but to be honest with you, with 4 goals scored by Brentford, it could have been a lot worse. So I feel quite thankful it wasn't anything worse than 5. And of course, he was my transfer in for game week 35 for Bukayo Saka. Isak, I liked the captaincy. I never felt compelled to go there. So I'm currently on 38 points. The real big scorers were Vardy with the 8-pointer, Konsa with the 6-pointer, and of course everybody outside of that actually hurt my rank. Isak's 9-pointer wasn't beneficial for my team, and Mbeumo's 5-pointer wasn't beneficial because of the effective ownership being above 100%. Martinez with a 9-pointer, but I never felt confident enough to go for the double Aston Villa defence. So 38 points. Let me know what you're currently on for the game week. I'm hoping we can get close to the 50-point mark with the 3 Palaces. I'm going to need that to get anywhere near a grey arrow this game week. So take a look at how my team currently looks ahead of game week 36 without any transfers made. And of course, with only 3 game weeks left, as I mentioned in the intro, it is so important that the transfers that we make are actually thoughtful. We can't just panic and make moves because we have so little transfers available to us. In my situation, I've only got 1 transfer available for game week 36, so I only have 3 transfers left for the season unless I want to incur a points hit. So take a look at my team right now. In terms of the goalkeepers, Martinez away against Bournemouth is more of a preference over Raya away against Liverpool, so we're going to stick with Martinez. A back 3 of Munoz, Vardy and Livramento isn't the end of the world. We have to remember the Munoz game away against Spurs is only a few days after the Europa League second leg, so I don't think that's actually a terrible fixture. And same is going to apply for Sarr and Mateta, who have the same game. Vardy well against Southampton is great, and Livramento at home against Chelsea. Of course, both of those vying for Champions League spots. I do prefer that to the other alternatives that I have in Konsa and Kivior. So I'm okay with the goalkeeper and defence. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't love the idea of using a pressure transfer on a defender or a goalkeeper. I want to chase the upside, and I think that's going to lie in the midfield or forward areas. Now, in terms of my midfielders, yes, Mo Salah's getting a bit of flack recently, and I think we're a little bit concerned about whether Liverpool are fully motivated or not in the back end of the season, but I think it would still take a brave manager to sell Mo Salah, and in my situation with 1 free transfer and 3.8 million in the bank, I feel fine keeping him because I can afford the other alternatives with the money available. Mbeumo away against Ipswich, fantastic, and I would like to actually add another Brentford if I could. And as I mentioned, Sarr away against Spurs is not actually terrible. The big one's going to be Savinho away against Southampton. Now, I really am hating owning Savinho because the fixtures have been good enough to want to start him, but no confidence in his minutes. We had the early team leak that he was benched, so that was easy for game week 35. And because 3 PM is the first kickoff, and Man City are part of that, we might get some news whether Savinho is starting or not. And if he is, I got to start him away against Southampton. If he's benched once again, then I could easily just bring in Rodgers away against Bournemouth. Now, in terms of the front 3, Isak and Marmoush are probably guaranteed starters in this team. I think Isak is a good game against Chelsea. Marmoush away against Southampton. I expect him to start, but what I would say as well is that Haaland back on the bench is not ideal. Does that mean Marmoush plays off the left, or does that mean he displaces Marmoush? We got to talk about that. And then, of course, Mateta away against Spurs. I think it's a great fixture. We also need to note there are great forwards in the game right now. And even though I don't love the idea of selling Mateta because I think he could do well, I do think there are opportunities to maybe look to sell him. And with that said, Mateta out for a few other options is what I'm considering right now, and we'll go through those alternatives in a minute. But with one free transfer, I am looking to make a move, because I do think there's enough upside in game week 36. So because we have so few game weeks available to us, I think it's really important, if you are trying to make transfers, to identify which players you actually want to bring in based on motivation and of course the actual fixtures available to them. So what I've done here is I've kind of tried to highlight the players that I want to bring in at some point. Of course, I can't own all of them, so we have to understand who is the priority going for. I've highlighted the ones that are midfielders in green, blue, whatever that is, and the forwards in red. I'm not going to buy a goalkeeper or defender between now and the end of the season. I just personally don't see enough upside in the fixtures and the defenders available to us, and I think my defenders can get by with the fixtures that they have in the given game weeks. So when we take a look at the fixtures right now, we got Forest with Leicester at home, fantastic entry point. West Ham away, I think that's a little bit difficult, and a Chelsea game at home, which could determine who gets Champions League. I don't look at Chelsea right now and think that they are in a terrible space, so I think you really are buying Chris Wood for the game week 36 fixture alone, and whatever you get after that is upside. In terms of Bournemouth, I think they're great, but I don't feel that compelled to go there until game week 38, but they definitely will be on the agenda by game week 38. Now, I've highlighted Man City on the list because I personally don't want to go to Haaland. I think he's just a player we look at next season. You really got to rip up your team to bring him in. But the reason why I've highlighted them is because I think you could possibly sell them in game week 38. For somebody who owns Marmoush, I need to keep in the back of my mind that I could easily pivot and do something like Marmoush to Evan Nielsen and target that Leicester game to finish the season off, and why I might have to take a points hit in game week 38 to chase the upside. Now, a player that I absolutely think is great value between now and the end of the season is going to be Brentford's Wissa. He's been my MVP this season. I sold him off. He's continued to do fantastic. And I would argue that maybe Wissa is as good as Chris Wood. Away against Ipswich is great. Fulham at home, I prefer to West Ham away. And then, of course, they've got Wolves away. So I don't think that's terrible for Wissa. Saka will come on the agenda for game week 38. Not looking at that before then. Cunha, I think, is a great buy as well. Of course, the only concern about him is if the rumours continue that he's leaving, could we see Vitor Pereira maybe take him out of the limelight? That's a potential. Then we got Bowen, who away against Man United, while that might look bad, of course, a few days after the Europa League second leg is actually a great fixture. Then they got Forest and Ipswich. I think Bowen is a fantastic pick. And then we got Watkins for Aston Villa. Now, I'd love to go there, and people did go there because of the Rashford injury. But with Malin now coming in for Watkins around the 70th minute mark, we actually now don't have any guarantees about Watkins playing. And even though I love him for the two games at the end, Spurs and Man United, if they progress to the Europa League final, all attention is going to be on that. I don't know if I've got the confidence for Watkins right now. I need to see it in game week 36 before even considering him as a buy. Outside of that, the reason why I've highlighted these four is because I think we need to decide when to sell off our players. I have Triple Palace. I love the Spurs game, and I definitely am happy to keep him for the Wolves game, but I could sell him off in game week 38 as part of maybe a -4. In terms of Liverpool, managers are out there with those players. For me, I just don't see myself selling Mo Salah personally. Chelsea, yes, they have motivation. They're going for top 4, but I can't really get behind buying one. And finally, Newcastle, because a lot of us have Livramento and Alexander Isak. Keep them for game week 36. I think that's a good fixture against Chelsea. But after that, Arsenal away, if they progress to the Champions League final, maybe they really aren't going to have any focus on this game. And then, of course, Everton to finish at St James's Park. I still think Isak is a brilliant hold, and I think I'd rather sell Marmoush and Mateta before that of Alexander Isak. But I think it's really important to highlight your watch list and try not to deviate from that unless some key injury happens which emerges another pick. So as I mentioned with my transfer plans sort of decision making, I think the rest of my team looks good. I think Savino's a problem, but I don't think game week 36 is the time to sell off for another midfielder. I don't think any are really raising their hands. I think game week 36 is all about the forwards. And with my front line right now with Marmoush, Isak, and of course Mateta, unless we get news that Marmoush isn't starting, I'm going to keep him for the away game against Southampton, of course. And I'm going to keep Isak for that Chelsea game. So it's all about Mateta. And if we see great things from Mateta tonight, then I absolutely could keep him against Spurs, who I think are just kind of crawling to the end of the season. But of course, with these three available to us, Wissa, who has a great game away against Ipswich, Cunha at home against Brighton, and Chris Wood at home against Leicester, I think there is great opportunity to go somewhere else. The big thing that we need to understand is that who you are buying, you're keeping between now and the end of the season, game week 38. So I really want to make sure I'm not just getting drawn in for game week 36 in isolation. I need to make sure the player that I'm bringing in also has a great game week 37 and also a great game week 38. I'm not looking to bench any of these players between now and the end of the season. And based on fixtures alone, I would argue that maybe Brentford's is the best. I think Wolves has great potential. Palace away in 37, not ideal. I do look at Brentford's games and think I could see them scoring goals in all three of those fixtures. And it's probably because of all the teams, I probably have more confidence in Brentford as a team to accumulate big chances. Whereas Wolves, I think, have been good under Vitor Pereira, but I don't look at them and think, oh, hat full of goals all the time. And Forest are really crawling towards the line right now. They haven't looked fantastic. And all it's going to take is a poor performance again from Chris Wood and Forest to really put me off going there. Because Leicester at home is great, but then West Ham away, they're just stinking up games right now under Potter. And then a Chelsea team who, similar to Forest, will be fully focused. And if you said to me right now, who is the better team? I'm going to say the motivation is with Chelsea as opposed to Forest. So I think Chris Wood's fantastic, but I'm a bit more tempted by Wissa or Cunha just for that X factor. And when I look at the fixtures in isolation, I probably feel more confident going for Wissa. Now, it's worth noting they're all good on bonus points. They're all above 1 per 90. Cunha is the shot magnet, 3.6 per 90. Wissa, though, is a monster when it comes to big chances, 1.05. And I think right now, if I was to buy one, they are quite tempted right now to sell Mateta and go to Wissa. I would love to have a last season Harawa Cunha, but I'm just slightly concerned that if the transfer rumours do continue, could we possibly see Cunha displaced from this Wolves team to end the season? Probably not, but it isn't out of the realms of possibility. So Mateta to Wissa is absolutely on the cards, but it's worth noting, I think all three of these could do a fantastic job for your teams. So taking a look at my Game Week 36 transfer plans, as we discussed, Mateta could absolutely stick around in my team, especially Crystal Palace look good once again tonight and Forest don't look fantastic. But I do think I want to use one of my transfers and get myself on someone like a Wissa. So if we were to lean towards that move of doing Mateta to Wissa, the team would look like this for Game Week 36, which I think it looks fantastic. I'll talk about captaincy in a bit more detail closer to the deadline because so much can happen between now and then. But if I was to lean on one, I think I would be tempted by Mbeumo, to be honest with you. I think Ipswich just concede goals, and regardless, Brentford are going to get a lot of chances in that game. So I'd feel a bit more confident going for Mbeumo as of right now. And of course, if I make that Mateta to Wissa move, also Savinho is confirmed to be benched, I would happily start Rodgers away against Bournemouth. It isn't a big deal. Of course, massively motivated by Champions League. I think that's still a great fixture regardless. Now, coming into Game Week 37, this is where it gets a little bit difficult because I would argue the team doesn't look great. But also, if we were to come down to some of the fixtures here for Game Week 37 in isolation, I don't look at them and think I need to bring in any players desperately. I always look at who's got Southampton, who's got Leicester. Well, Everton's got Southampton, I don't want any of their attackers. And Ipswich have got Leicester, and I don't want any Ipswich players. Outside of that, I've got Villa in Rodgers and defence, so I don't really feel compelled to go to Watkins, even though he was on the watch list. Bournemouth have got a tricky game. I would have double Brentford by now, which would be fine. And really, I don't think there's any standout fixture in Game Week 37. Even though I spoke about the targeting Jarrod Bowen at home against Forest, just don't love the idea there. So I actually think for Game Week 37, the preference is going to be just giving myself total flexibility for Game Week 38 and allowing myself 2 free transfers. Now, take a look at the team for Game Week 38. I look at it and think, double Arsenal defence away against Southampton, perfectly fine. Livramento at home against Everton, fine. And Vardiel away against Fulham, where Man City might have to win that game to confirm Champions League, that is absolutely fine. I don't feel any desperation to bring in a defender. In terms of the midfielders, we'll have Mbeumo away against Wolves, perfectly fine. We'll have Mo Salah at home against Palace, don't mind that. Rodgers and Sarr, though, not ideal. But of course, if Man United have just played the Europa League final, I think Rodgers could actually be quite a sneaky peak. Then at front, we got Isak at home against Everton, perfectly fine. Wissa away against Wolves, and then Marmoush away against Fulham. So then it's going to be all about 2 free transfers, 4.7 million in the bank, and an opportunity to really chase rank at the end of the season. And this is where I want to be. I want to be at the end of the season with loads of money in the bank and 2 free transfers for a bit of flexibility. And when I come down here to the game week 38 fixtures, and who really, if I am going to use 2 free transfers, do I want in my team? Well, the standout, what it's been all season, is target Southampton, target Leicester. And I have an opportunity here to maybe go for someone like a Saka if I can really get there, and an Evan Nielsen. And I really do think that's where I'm going to go, because I look at the rest of the fixtures. Villa away against Man United, good, but I don't feel that over Bournemouth and Arsenal fixtures. Look at the rest. Liverpool, I don't feel like I want any more. City away against Fulham, I'm good. Got Newcastle and Isak, and Spurs I don't want. And West Ham, yes, away against Ipswich would be nice, but I prefer the other 2 games. So if we were to come back to my team, I think there's, hopefully with the money available, because I haven't actually tried this out, some easy directions to go to. So let's say Marmoush is a bit of a problem by then. I think Marmoush out for Evan Nielsen does make a lot of sense in my team if I want to go there. I look at my midfielders and think it's not fantastic, and I would like a bit of a powerhouse in that midfield. And if Arsenal are knocked out of the Champions League, then I think there's only one man for that, and that is going to be, I can't believe I'm saying it, Savinho out and Saka in. I really do think that is going to be the move for me. Now, the reason why I say I can't believe it is because I bought Saka in game week 33. I sold him in game week 35. And I'm looking to buy him back in game week 38. But hey, there's no reason to have any ego in this game. You've got to bring in the best players. If I get myself to this team for the end of the season, I actually be really happy with it. Triple Arsenal away against Southampton. We'll have Evan Nielsen at home against Leicester. And the rest of the team I think looks quite good. That's the plan. Flexibility in the final game week. And in game week 37, bringing in Wissa. The big decision is, who do I want to end the season? Wissa away against Wolves, or a Cunha or Chris Wood? And right now I'm leaning towards Wissa. Yes guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's video looking at my game week 36 transfer plans. Of course, we're not going to make any early moves. We've got lots to happen between now and then, but I am looking to sell Mateta and bring in Wissa, but we'll see how that changes throughout the week. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please do consider hitting a like and smashing that subscribe button. I know it's near the end of the season, but it's always massively appreciated. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.